Hi guys, Lucy aka the Watchbox Diaries here. Welcome to my channel. Now I am back with another Apiar. This time it is their ERB, which is a collaboration with the very talented, very creative, the Dial Artist aka Chris. Apiar are pretty creative, the Dial Artist are pretty creative. There's a massive concept involved in this piece. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, as always, I do like to whiz through the specs for everyone. So this is a 39mm piece with a lug-to-lug of 47mm. Height comes in at 12.55mm. Strap width is 22. The dial material is actually a concave aluminium, and the case is also pretty interesting. It is a grade 23 titanium 3D printed case. This piece is super lightweight, so even with the strap, this piece comes in at just 52 grams, insanely light on the wrist. It has a domed sapphire crystal. It uses the Joux-Perret G100 Swiss automatic, which comes with a power reserve of 68 hours. And this also comes with 100 meters of water resistance. I'm kind of a fan of a good concept when it's done well. And there are two sides to the concept of this watch. So the first one initially is just the setup for the actual case itself. So I mentioned earlier, it is essentially a 3D printed grade 23 titanium case. I don't believe there are any other brands that are doing this kind of technique. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments because I'd be interested to hear. But it's a fascinating process. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. I did cover it ever so slightly in my first video, but if you want to know more in depth, head to their website because they break the process down completely. The second side of it that I really like is the actual watch design concept. So they've taken the idea of an astronaut floating around space and being pulled into a wormhole of, space-time, and just gone full force into it. So there are so many different design aspects that have been thought about. The astronaut on the dial itself being pretty much the only thing on there besides the hands kind of accentuates the boldness of the astronaut, especially with the loom, completely contrasted against the void of the background representing space. Moving away from the dial, if you look at the sides of the case, there's actually enameled paint in bright colours, and they represent the bending through space-time. So from the dial itself to the inner case to the outer case, and even the case that the watch actually arrives in has been thought about and has been incorporated into the concept. I'll talk about the case a little bit further down in more detail. So I've always been a fan of the Dial Artist. I think he has a very fun, very unique spin on modifications and dial and case artworks. So you take Apiar, who are very unique themselves in terms of what they do, add that to the Dial Artist, and you have twice the creative output here. I am a massive fan of all of the little design features that they've put into this watch. Firstly, the loom astronaut is so much fun to play with. It is such a contrast to that dark void of the rest of the dial. Yeah, way too much fun playing with a loom torch with this. I also appreciate that even down to the date window, each day you have a different colorway that matches the enameled paint on the sides of the case. So it's matching, there's that hint of fun, and it's just an additional layer of creativity. I think they did really well with the hand design as well. I do think they're in keeping with the rounded shape and the angles of the rest of the watch, so it all just works together. I've said it before and I will say it again, watchmaking can be so serious, and I love that this seems to be the perfect combination of forward-thinking watchmaking technology, but also playful creativity. Also, something I wasn't quite expecting and have been very pleasantly surprised by is the fact that it has a screw-down crown with 100 meters of water resistance, which is not something you usually get in a more concept design inspired piece. Another thing that I am a massive fan of is the packaging that this watch arrives in. So it is a further extension of the design concept. It is a wormhole display case for showing the watch, but also protecting it during transport and storage. Everything from the dial to the case to the strap, all the way through to that packaging that arrives at your door. The whole thing has been thought about, and I have a lot of time for how much effort has gone into it. So one last thing I do want to point out, and that is I love honesty from a brand, and Apiar are fully transparent about where things are sourced, where things are made, and have a lot of time and a lot of respect for brands that do that and that are that open about where everything is from. So before I fully get into my gripes, I do want to point out that I received a sample piece from Apiar. So take things with a pinch of salt, but there are things that I noticed personally with this piece. Probably my biggest gripe with this piece has to be the strap. I know that it is in keeping with the rest of the watch in terms of its design, the rough texture, the detailing, but it was not a very comfortable strap and it was quite stiff to wear. Maybe you have to wear it in. Maybe I just didn't have enough time for it to meld to my wrist properly. I did also find that the second keeper was a bit too big, so it did slip off quite often. I will say that the connection of the strap to the case is great. It slopes down and around the wrist perfectly. If it was a slightly more comfortable material, probably, it would honestly be the perfect curvature around the wrist. So feedback from the first Invenire to this piece was slightly more refining and polishing on the case. They have changed the buckle and I love the design of it. I think it's really cool, but I do think it being a bit more refined and a bit more polished so that it matches that newly refined case, I think would just bring that together a bit better. I did find that the crown sticks out a little bit more than I would have liked it to. And this is probably more of a loosey niggle, but I would like the logo to line up and it didn't, and I know that's a really silly thing to be pointing out, but it niggled me. So again, probably a loosey niggle, but I found it really hard to take pictures of this watch. Yes, it has anti-reflective coatings, so it was mostly fine to be able to read the time, but I found it particularly difficult to take pictures and videos of it, and it's kind of what I needed to do for this video. This is a collaboration with a fun artist. It's not going to be the most serious piece. Yes, I think the watchmaking side, the technology side, strong. They are all there. It's a solid watch, but it definitely lends itself more to the playful side of things because they have fully gone, feet first into the concept here. So there are people that are going to find this maybe gimmicky. It's not going to be for everybody at all. That's absolutely fine. So packaging was in my likes and also adding it to my gripes because as interesting and fun as the extension of the concept is into the packaging, and I love the design aspect of it, I found it pretty difficult to get into. There's no lid, there's no handle, you just have to work it out and you have to twist it to get it open. Great idea, great concept, not the most easy to use. As always, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this. It's a strong concept, it's not going to be for everyone, so I'm interested to see how you guys feel about it. Let me know about the brand, what you think about this design in the comment section below. If you've enjoyed my horological ramblings and you want to support me and my channel, do the YouTubey things. Make sure you've given it a like, you've commented, and you have subscribed to the channel. If you want to be notified of my upcoming videos, just click the little bell and YouTube will do its thing. Until next time though, bye.